Didn't See That Coming by Rachel Hollis. Welcome to my channel. My name is Samuel and I want to make self-growth normal. If you want to make self-growth normal, because I don't want to do it alone, and who doesn't want to make self-growth normal, then make sure to smash that like button. I always find Rachel Hollis books to be fun listens because they're phenomenally accessible. To me, some of what seems like the most generic advice is unwrapped, it's delivered, it's explained in a way that it's incessantly surprising. What did I think this book was? I figured it was probably about unexpected things, but maybe it was about expected things because that's not something that you would have expected from a book called Didn't See That Coming. I don't know. But I also figured what 2020 did to a lot of people, maybe that's a reason why she wrote the book. Is it? I mean, who expected a year like this? I figured Rachel was always a person for her people, what they're going through, yet it hit me that she was probably considering what she seems to encourage us as individuals to consider most of the time. She's very individualistic. What am I going through? What was she going through? Actually, no, really, like, what is she going through? Here's something that she had to say in the intro. This book has the unique duality of a creation both inside and outside of pain. As someone who lives by a plan, who has imagined in detail the next 2 decades of my life and how they might plan out, I can honestly tell you I never planned for this. I'm waiting for all the negative reviews, calling this book surprisingly bad or saying that they didn't see the low quality coming. I took a glance after pre-ordering the audiobook, and apparently Rachel Hollis and Dave Hollis got a divorce sometime into the pandemic. I don't really think she talked all that much about this in the book, but I don't care, personally. I also saw some stuff on YouTube about how it's all about the money and she's an alleged scam artist. I'll say this. In personal development are a topic for more than one separate video. So in this review, I'm going to talk about all the different chapters of the book, some things that surprised me, some things that didn't surprise me, how this compares to her other books, Girl Stop Apologizing and Girl Wash Her Face. I'm also going to go over some standout quotes, who I recommend this book to, and what books to maybe check out next. It might sound like a lot, but I do this in all my reviews just about, and I mean, somehow we're able to get through all of it. In Identify the New You, something about this chapter sounded like more of a come to terms with the fact that you no longer have your old identity. In Stop Questioning Your Suffering, this is just a classic way, a Rachel Hollis way of saying, shut up, stop thinking so much about it. Everyone, and I actually really needed to hear this chapter personally, everyone experiences grief differently, and no one can tell you how to experience it. As a result of that, and how to face what she constantly calls in this book, the hardest seasons. In the story in Let Go of Guilt, the one couple with the guy and the girl and how like she cheated, it's just crazy. But it makes so much sense why no matter how hard they tried, for how long, and how many different things they did, he couldn't forgive her. But I feel like it's the type of story for people to, in negative reviews, to just rant and rave about and be like, no, that's super controversial, very debatable. I cannot get behind this book because it promotes a bad message. She has other stuff like that in her other books and negative reviews, like about like in body image and stuff like that, and body shaming and self-confidence, and like she has different spurts and stuff where every now and then, which I don't think she does at all in this book, she like mentions something about feminism, and she has this way of just throwing out there these super, you would assume, embarrassing stories, like pooping herself in the middle of a juice cleanse, but her ability to laugh at these things in a way of as if it's not weird enough to do a juice cleanse, because if I recall correctly, someone said that it helps with the grieving process. I also basically pooped myself. It's just phenomenally human, and my favorite thing about her in this book, aside from just, you know, the concoction of insights that it brings to the table, is how she like teeters between like this playful, life is ridiculous but let's embrace it style of humor, and the parts where, I'll put it this way, in the audiobook you can hear the pain in her voice, and different parts where it's just very, very empowering, which I think she's kind of known for. Her work, to me, is an example, and this is not a light statement. It's an example of what personal development should be nowadays. It's educational and it's entertaining, but it also inspires you and change your mind about getting better. She introduces something here that I've heard in probably so many books now that I have reviewed the book that it is in reference to. It's the growth mindset and the fixed mindset. Obviously, hopefully a percentage of you know exactly what I'm talking about upon hearing it. The Mindset by Carol S. Dweck about the new psychology of success. Fixed and growth mindsets are self-help 101, but basically growth mindset is where you believe you can change for the better, and fixed mindset is where you believe you can't. It's a lot more complex than that, but if it's something you're interested in, I would check out my review of it, or just, I guess, straight out the book. It really stood out to me though when she stressed here the importance of it. A difficult season is already painful enough without the added weight of a belief system that tells you it's hopeless before you even try to find your way out. The Hack the Courage chapter, this chapter reminded me a lot, in vague ways, of Brené Brown. As much as Brené Brown brands herself as a shame researcher, it's kind of like if she also happens to be considered a courage researcher, she'd probably be a prominent figure in that field, as she talks about it a lot. And I kind of heard a lot of what sounded a little like Brené Brown in kind of throughout the whole book. I think that has to do with what the book is about, but I think the best example of courage and hope in the book is easily the big chapter toward the end about like her brother committing suicide. Here's another example of that like teetering thing I just mentioned. I have had more conversations with my 11-year-old about Fortnite than either of my parents ever had with me about what I saw that day, or the grief I felt, or how scared I was in the 23 years since. She makes an argument that if you have to fake being strong for your kids, do it. I can't really attest to this because I don't have any, I never had any kids. But I feel like you can't check out a chapter like this without ultimately at least understanding where she's coming from. Is that a popular opinion? I don't know. The next chapter is called Get Real with Your Finances. I think I'm in love with money chapters in books like this. And you may never hear me stress enough the importance in this channel of being able to not just create and sustain, but expand upon a healthy, productive, and comfortable lifestyle and provide for your friends and family and community. It's a lot of money, but it's definitely out there. And not just that, but do anything you want basically, because you have the resources. Most people nowadays who don't have the money to do X or Y, they can rely on whoever they want, because after all, this is a free country. However, people who have gone from absolutely nowhere to the top of the mountains have used the internet, searching for answers and finding them. There is no substitute for self-reliance. And if you need more money, you can 1000% find out a way to get it, promise, without violating the rights of or harming yourself or others. I heard someone say once that the middle class is just rich people who are really poor, and that they don't realize it until someone in the household gets cancer or the house burns down. It sounds ugly, but is it wrong? I can talk about stuff like this for hours and hours, but an excellent book for more information on this topic, without question, is The Millionaire Booklet by Grant Cardone. That book is a ceiling smasher. There's another chapter called Cling to Your Good Habits or Make New Ones, and I would say that it reminded me of the chapter in Girl Stop Apologizing that I considered the slap in the face that I needed at the time, in terms of, here are some examples of excellent habits that you can use to improve the quality of your everyday lifestyle. This one, there was some big section of it that came off to me as like the most simplistic, explain it to me like I'm 5 layout that I've ever heard of how the human brain works and the 3 different layers of it. The next chapter, or 2 chapters, I think, those talk about joy and hope and her brother's suicide, which I don't really know if she talked about that much in her other books. But there are lessons in this book that you cannot put a price on. I try to keep these reviews spoiler free, but when I heard the thing about the 9/11 operator and the letter that Rachel got from her or him, I got goosebumps. There is a point, I swear, in this audiobook where it sounds like she's crying, and I don't hear that often at all. Mind you, I'm a strict Audible listener in case it's not obvious. But it's just very touching and intimate, and it's moments like these that really connect the person putting the content out and the person digesting it. Overall, I didn't see this book coming. I literally mean that. I did not see this book coming. I did not know it was going to be coming out until maybe like a week or less than like when I was on the Audible upcoming. And again, it's like these serious and funny and proud, like inspiring twists and turns that turn this book into some sort of a roller coaster. And there's not a dull moment, but that's just something about, I wouldn't even say it's just this book or her books. I just think it's something kind of just about Rachel Hollis as an author. What I would have expected in terms of quality, it's nothing short of that. This lady sounds so sold on herself and her ideas that you can hear it in her voice. If no words in this book had any meaning, the narration alone is moving. I mean, that'd be kind of weird. Like, what's the point of even having audiobooks if that were the case? Regardless, I am not really disappointed by anything in this book. Quotes. We should teach or write or share only from our scars, never from our wounds. Don't fear your own weakness. Fear drowning in despair for the rest of your time on earth because you were too afraid to confront your pain. Right now, in my life, I'm so sick of the words, I'm sorry, I could punch something. I am willing to be the villain in someone else's story if it means I can be the hero of my own. I cannot hurt myself to bear other people the discomforts. If you believe there are lessons in the world that will help you heal and you're willing to go looking, you'll find them. If you don't believe these lessons exist, you'll never look. Your kids aren't old enough to carry your pain for you, but I promise you they'll try. If you're going to have to go through hell, you should at least come out the other side with something to show for it. Direction 1. This book is not really easy to pin on some sort of a particular demographic of people. I feel like whenever I say that about a book, immediately after I can tell you some certain demographic of people who it applies to. I mean, the book is just very universal, but if I had to recommend it to someone, and I feel like this describes such a huge percentage of the US population at least, I would definitely recommend it to anyone who in the last week, month, 3 months, 6 months, year, or maybe 2 years or 5 years, who knows, has had their life seemingly rearranged for them. With no warning signs, or even if the warnings that they just didn't see it coming, hence the didn't see it coming, right now they're just trying to pick up the pieces, let alone sometimes even make sense of what happened. Direction 2. If you like this book, oh my gosh, there's so many different books that this reminded me of. And not in a way that's super specific, where I'm just okay, this just sounds like a regurgitation. The first one was probably Braving the Wilderness by Brene Brown. Something about it reminded me of You Are a Badass by Jen Sincero. I think it was the style, but I'm gonna be completely honest, Rachel Hollis I find a lot funnier than Jen Sincero. These two authors, Jen Sincero and Brene Brown, there's just a very elegant combination it's that is kind of Rachel Hollis to me. Until I can find another author who better exemplifies that. Rachel Hollis's other books you might like, they're not as urgent or, I hate to say compassionate, but again, Girl Wash Your Face and Girl Stop Apologizing, you might like those as well. Didn't See That Coming by Rachel Hollis. There's a link in the description if you guys want to check it out and read the reviews. That and all the other books that I mentioned in this video, if you want to check those out too. If there are any other books that you guys want me to check out and review, please let me know in the comments below. Also, let me know if you checked out this book and you liked it. Oh, in case I forgot to mention, if you guys buy anything through the links in the description, then I get commission, which helps me build this channel and keep making these videos. But make sure to smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, because I don't get why people watch to this point in my videos and they don't subscribe. But if you have subscribed and you want to turn it up just a notch and turn on that notification bell to get a notification whenever I drop new videos, that would mean the world to me. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. You can find me everywhere and I will see you then.